Welcome back, everyone. We have had a great morning learning about our education and workforce development partners here in DeKalb County. And I hope you enjoyed your breakout session and found them informative. This morning, I am honored to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Tavares Holston. Dr. Holston was appointed as Georgia Piedmont Tech's Technical College president in 2018 and as the fourth president of the college to preside since its beginning in 1961. Dr. Holston has been an educator, an advocate for technical and education for over 20 years and is passionate about student success and workforce development. His love for higher education and student learning began as an adjunct instructor, teaching business concepts and software application packages. Since that time, he has served in various executive roles at three colleges, including positions such as a campus dean, director of online instruction, vice president for institutional effectiveness, vice president for academic affairs, and vice president for adult education. So we see here that my friend has a lot of education, he has a lot of great experience, and he definitely qualifies for this role. But we're looking forward to this keynote because one thing helps us to appreciate even more about Dr. Holston is that he holds a doctorate in education from Valdosta State University, a Master of Science in Management with a focus in leadership and organizational effectiveness from Troy University, and a Bachelor of Business Administration and Management from the University of North Georgia. He is also a U.S. Army veteran. He enjoys and is committed to inspiring, equipping, and mentoring leaders, as evidenced by his establishment of Georgia Piedmont Technical College's Leader College for faculty and staff. He focuses on creating unforgettable learning experiences that are relevant for the needs of the workforce at Georgia Piedmont Technical College and its surrounding communities, businesses, and industries here in DeKalb County, and also in Newton and Rockdale counties as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Tavares Holston. Dr. Holston, please.
Well, good morning, DeKalb County. It is a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for the fabulous introduction, Frankie. And it's just a great honor to be with you all this morning to talk about workforce development. This is what I get up for. This is why I breathe in the morning and get up every day with such energy and passion. And I hope that you've enjoyed your time this morning as you've been in your breakout sessions. I know I did, hearing from some great people with some great ideas, hearing all the great things that are going on in the county. I also enjoyed hearing from Mr. Dorian DeBar. He's also on our local board of directors, so it's always good to hear his insights, and he shares some great things that are still resonating with me. And so I've been asked to share some of my perspectives about workforce development here in DeKalb County. And I believe that workforce development is really about talent development. I've heard it in one of our sessions. It's about managing and developing our human capital here in DeKalb County. And I'm going to take a line from my good friend, CEO Michael Thurman. DeKalb is rising. And so I believe that there's a great time for us to rise to our workforce challenge. I know there's some challenges there, but the only reason there's challenges is because there are opportunities that follow those challenges that we're here to seize. So as it's been said, I work for Georgia Piedmont Technical College, our faculty and staff, and most importantly, our students there. I happen to believe that Georgia Piedmont Technical College is the greatest technical college in DeKalb County. We're the only in the county, but if there were others, we will still be the greatest in the county. But we have a focus, as has already been mentioned, that we serve DeKalb, Rockdale, and Newton counties. This is my 4th year as president. I am loving every minute of it. And as I mentioned, our whole point of existence is about workforce development. What that means for me is it's about jobs. It's about how can we get every DeKalb citizen a job, a valuable career, not just a job, but a career where they can move forward and provide and do all those great things and experience the quality of life that they've been designed for. And so one of the things that I think about when I think about job creation is I think about the industry and business partners that I interact with. And one of the things that they often ask is Holston, do you have anybody to send me? I heard that come up in one of our sessions. And what I can tell you is this big number on the screen, 100%. This is actually our college's job placement rate. Every student that comes to us, when they leave us, 100% of them get a job upon completion of their experience here at the college. And of course, we offer high school equivalency, which can lead to a GED. We offer short-term training and a certificate or diploma, and all the way up to an associate's degree. We're located all over the county. In Clarkston, we have a campus in Wesley Chapel, and I have some other great news to share with you about something that's developing. And we also have a regional transportation center down in Lithonia Stonecrest off of Marbert Road. So but my point is I get to hear from all of our business partners across this region, especially in DeKalb. And there is a need for a qualified workforce, because you've heard Dorian speak about how important it is to have a strong workforce to recruit and retain industry so that our county can be successful and prosperous. And the thing about that I love most about our job is the things that we offer here at the college in particular are specifically aligned to those industries that are in our communities. But I'll talk a little bit more about that as I move forward in the presentation. But I want to give it more of a high level. How do we all fit into this landscape that we're calling workforce development and talking about talent development? So I'm a bit of a data junkie, so I'm going to try to resist my urge to get too granular and keep things at a high level. But as I've said, one of the first things I want to put out there is 100%. I told you this is our job placement rate. What if we all combined our efforts and all of our strength and our focus to make sure that every able-bodied DeKalb citizen has a job? So that's the thing I want you to have in the back of your mind as I kind of go through some of these things, some of my thoughts that I've compiled for you. So before we go there, I'm going to here's a quick overview of what DeKalb County looks like from a census perspective. So there's over 760,000 folks in DeKalb County now. We have grown by over 11% in the last 10 years. That tells me that people want to live here, that people are coming here because there's economic prosperity and opportunities for them. You can see that about 23% of our population are children. So we have about 175,000 young whippersnappers running around, challenging us to think differently and newly about how we move forward. Something I want to really point out on this slide is our median household income is around $62,000 a year. That is a good, healthy income. I'll say it's higher than the state of Georgia in general. So that tells me there's opportunities here, but at the same time, almost 16% of our neighbors are living in poverty. One of the great things about DeKalb that I quickly learned is about 44% of the population has a bachelor's degree or higher. And that tells me that we're living among smart people. That's about 10 points higher than the average in Georgia. So I want to outline kind of the environment before I talk about some of the more narrow, specific DeKalb County opportunities that we have. So in Georgia, by 2028, we're expecting to see there to be over 5.2 million jobs available for people in Georgia. The last data point I read, I'm getting too far in data, but we're just over 5 million right now. And so when you look at our industry mix, we are a very knowledge-based economy. Most of our jobs are in service providing or knowledge-based kind of industries. The rest are goods producing, which is what we're thinking of when we talk about manufacturing. So I've already mentioned that for DeKalb County, we're about 10 points higher than the state is when it comes to the amount of bachelor's degree or higher educated people. So there's about 34% statewide who are at that level. And so for DeKalb County, that brings us to 54% are below a bachelor's degree or higher. So when you think about educational level and you think about the industry mix of our economy. As we get more advanced, as we get smarter, our knowledge base increases. We tend to outsource a lot of our lower skilled jobs to other places. Where one of the things that's encouraging, and what I don't want you to hear me say, is we're seeing an influx of manufacturing start to come back to the states, back into Georgia, but it's coming back in a way that's different. It's more advanced. It's more intellectual than what most people would think. But in every educational category, projected out into 2028, employment will grow for every educational category. Here's something that I think is very telling about where we are for DeKalb County. This is the overall education of our workforce. So a couple of data points I kind of want to hit to kind of give us some context is um, as I said, about 44%, and depends on which data sources you look at, but about 44% of our population has a bachelor's degree or higher. So assuming that trend continues, we should remain competitive in DeKalb County as those jobs increase. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that's important when we look at the types of industries that our county is trying to attract and retain. But going back to my original idea of that big 100% number, one of the things that prevents people, especially in our economy now as we move forward, is the lack of education. And so one of the things I want to point out is that in that red box there, you see that about 13% of our population, according to this data set, they don't have a high school education. And there's no reason that any of our citizens should not have a high school education. One of the reasons I can tell you is because we offer free, our college, and there's some other partners out there, but our college offers free prep for a high school equivalency here at Georgia Piedmont Technical College. So yes, I said that right. That is a free service. We prep people for wherever they happen to come in they're on the educational spectrum, and we get them to a level where they can get a high school equivalency if they haven't already graduated high school. That's a very important thing for making sure that our workforce is prepared, can meet the needs of where we're headed as an economy and actually where we are now. So there's also a lot of partners. One of the things that DeKalb County has going forward is there is a huge number. I believe there's over 13 higher education partners here in DeKalb County, which that gives a lot of opportunities to actually increase that educational attainment opportunity for our citizens. So when you look at what's in that blue, as I said, we're in a knowledge-based economy. You're going to need a little bit, our folks are going to need a little bit more than a high school equivalency or high school diploma to be competitive in our growing economy. So whether that be coming to like a place like Georgia Piedmont and getting a short-term 1-week training, whether that's in if there's soft skills involved, or if someone wants to get OSHA training, those opportunities, that is considered in that some college category. And so there's also some of our partners like Goodwill who provide those opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities for our folks to raise their level of education. Also, we have at our college, I know we also provide short-term training that we call technical certificates of credit. For instance, I've heard a lot about logistics and training, logistics and transportation. Did you know that our students can come here and get a CDL license in 4 to 8 weeks? There's a short program that's 4 weeks. There's a longer, more intensive program that's 8 weeks. But those are jobs that students can get coming right out at short-term training, making anywhere from about in the mid-50s, just coming out of a short-term training opportunity. But there's lots of opportunities there. One of the big questions that I get and I hear that's happening in our communities is, what is the real value of a degree? And I can tell you there's a transformation in the way that people are thinking about degrees and their educational attainment. I can tell you that the biggest thing is about the cost of a degree. And then what the industries, what our businesses and industries are needing to produce and deliver their goods and services. So what I'm seeing and hearing from our partners is we need people now. And so what that means is they're looking to hire people because, and I'll get to this in a future slide, but they're looking to hire people quickly because we're at a very high, a low unemployment rate. And so waiting for someone to complete a long degree often delays that business from getting access to that talent that's available. And it also slows them down from making money. That's what they're trying to do, right? As a business in the industry, they want to make money. But as you can see, as education increases, so does the earning potential. And I think that's something that's very important to remember. So this is I love this chart because it says so much about what's happening today in DeKalb County. The last time that we pulled, I actually heard an update. You see that number 2.6%. The last update I saw, we're actually around 2.4% in unemployment. What that means is that red line on this graph, it shows that about 4% is considered full employment for a labor force. We are below that. And so the question is like, we're doing good, right? Well, it depends on how you look at it. But there's some ways that we need to think about this. So, and how many of you, and I know I can't see you, but how many of you are hiring right now? If we were in a room together, I know every hand in the room would be raised. And so what that tells me is we're at full employment. It's at a record low. This is an all-time low in a time where our economy is growing, it's expanding, it's booming. I know the last report I heard, our tax base compared to the same period last year, 7 months, we're up in tax collections about almost 18%, just over 17.8 or something like that. So our economy is expanding. All of those people who would normally be working, they are fully employed. And so there's still this need for workers. There's still a demand for workers. And that's where I want to spend the most of my time as I move forward. And I talk about our perspective. So we're at full employment. So we've heard a lot of people talk about the great resignation or the big quit. About 20%, 1/5 of our workers have left their jobs since last April when life was upset by this little bitty thing, this microscopic organism called COVID-19. And so what's happening with our workforce? They're looking for ways to find better balance in their work life, making sure that they can get to the basketball games and the soccer games and still make a livable wage so they can provide for their families. A lot of people are reevaluating their work. What do I want to be? That's the question that we're always asking our children, and we continue to ask people into their adulthood. What do you want to be when you grow up? So people are really wrestling with that question now. People are wanting more flexibility, whether that looks like working from home or having alternate work hours. And a big issue, a big thing that we're all wrestling with is we've been isolated for so long. There's so much going on a social level, on a political level, on a work level, that we're starting to really think about our mental health and our well-being. So you saw a lot of people going to the gyms and working on themselves and trying to get better during this time. So that's kind of the mentality of our workforce now. And Winston Churchill once said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." So this is a great opportunity. I know when you look at what's happening in our environment, what's happening in DeKalb and in Georgia, and if you extrapolate that across the country, there are a lot of challenges out there, but I believe this is a time for DeKalb to rise. I believe it's important that all of us on this virtual conference, we need to think about ways we can help connect people to meaningful work. I happen to believe, because of my faith basis, that we all have a purpose and we all have work to do. while we're on this side of the dirt. And it's important that we connect with whatever that work is. And so many people are not connected with that. And that's a part of that mentality that's kind of fueling this thought process of, am I being who I want to be? So we need to help people understand what their interests are. And sometimes just because I'm interested in something doesn't mean I have the aptitude, the knowledge, the mental capacity to do that. So helping people connect with meaningful work will bring them greater fulfillment. I think as an employer, I know we're looking for people, you're looking for people. So it's important to try to connect people to work that's meaningful and where they can see impact. I'll also say that it's important that I've already mentioned that we connect that value to the talent. So helping people understand why is it that why do we do what we do, and why is it important? I think as employers and leaders, we should help those we lead make those connections, and then connecting that talent to the product. So we're all about adding value because we're providing, whether it's a service or a good, we're all about adding value to our customers, to our clients. But we want to connect our talent to that value and making sure that we leverage that talent to produce a great product, and that will leave a lasting impression. So I just wanted to quickly say, I've already mentioned this before. With our college, we're actually in 3 locations in DeKalb County. We're in Clarkston, that's our main campus. We have a campus right over in Decatur, right off of Wesley Chapel. As I've mentioned, we have a campus that is being built, about a $11 million facility being built in Lithonia in the Stonecrest. And something that's really developing, and I'll talk more about this as we go forward, is we're looking at under the Gold Dome right now. We have our DeKalb delegation working on trying to get funds secured for a North DeKalb campus. And what this picture is really about is providing people accessibility to technical education in DeKalb County. And when you think about, I showed you those poverty numbers, 16% poverty. You look at the population, it takes sometimes, if you look at, say, the Dorville Chamblee area, if a lot of the students that we serve, if they're using public transportation, it takes them almost 2 hours navigating the bus routes to get from the northern parts of the county to Clarkston. And we know we need to upskill and train these people. So we're really excited about that development. We'll keep you apprised to that. So I want to talk about this. This is kind of where I want to kind of start landing the plane here this morning, is DeKalb County's target industries are advanced manufacturing, healthcare, logistics and distribution, corporate or operations, business services, as well as film and digital entertainment. And these are the target industries that have been defined by Decide DeKalb. This is where we're pushing. And likewise, as a college, and I would say as a industry, you fit into this mix in some way. We're all connected to this. So how did these target industries get identified? So I'm glad you asked that. I know there was a strategic planning process that happened, and as the reason is there's projected growth in these areas, and DeKalb County needs to position itself so that it can be prepared to respond to those workforce needs. Over 5% growth is projected by 2028. In advanced manufacturing. I know one of the things that I've already mentioned or alluded to is this idea of automation and technology really starting to change the way that things are being made. People doing less with their hands and more with their minds as they use computerized technology, programmable logic control to make things. So there's a lot of robotics being integrated. I actually provided the AJC opinion piece about a year ago. But what inspired that piece is I walked into a Walmart. I know, I walked into Walmart. But either way, I walked into Walmart one day, and all of a sudden, all of these, the cashiers, they were gone. They were replaced by self-checkouts. I think we should get paid for that, for doing Walmart's job, but I digress. But nevertheless, you can see where technology can move and leverage, and people would need to leverage that technology to actually provide a good or service. And so there's lots of opportunity in advanced manufacturing. The wages are all over the place right now. I can tell you a lot of companies are throwing sign-in bonuses, and a lot of the wages I have here are actually kind of out of whack right now. But like I say, this is a very productive occupation for a lot of our citizens. Great option. Everyone knows that healthcare, you've heard about nursing and our healthcare providers, how overwhelmed they've been through this coronavirus, through the pandemic. And so but even before the pandemic hit, there was a huge need and a rising gap in the number of healthcare providers needed. I'm so glad that our county is pulling together resources and thinking about how do we address these types of occupations. Another thing to consider is our baby boomers are aging and they're retiring at record rates, almost double what was projected. And so things have been accelerated by this pandemic. And I can tell you, every time I speak to our healthcare and life science partners, our hospitals, our clinics, they're saying, can you send me more nurses? Can you please send me more nurses? Send me more medical assistants, more nursing assistants. So that will be a sector that will continue to grow. I've already mentioned that we have a current site that's being expanded. You may have seen this in the news, but we have what we call our Regional Transportation Training Center down in Lithonia. We're actually expanding that. It is currently the largest testing range in the state and the Southeast. And once we build this permanent facility, which is expected to be here in about at the end of next year, it will be a almost $11 million construction project. Out there, we train all the drivers from MARTA. We do the training for those buses. So those are our students that we've impacted. So there's so much that's happening. There's so much infrastructure that's there for logistics and transportation for DeKalb County, the second busiest airport. We have over 450 transportation warehouses and facilities. And we do a lot of work in our corporate and operations and business services sector. There's so much infrastructure to support the work that's going on here. Again, to attract corporate operations, you have to have people have those high level skills, those thinking and knowledge skills and experience and education to get that done, to attract those types of industries. We've done a great opportunity. We've had some great partnerships with the DeKalb Chamber. We've done some Better Business Loan Program options. We've helped a lot of our small businesses make that change to offer their business through e-platforms. We have a Metro Corporate College where we do a lot of our short-term business and training opportunities there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on film and digital because Dorian has done a great job of providing just the impact and the economic impact of this industry, especially on DeKalb. And he's already mentioned a lot of the development that's happening there that's already here. And mentioning Black Hall and Gray TV and Third Rail. And I thought it's very phenomenal when you look at the tax credit that's been claimed or recorded for that industry at 1.2 billion. That's much higher than pre-pandemic levels. That tells me that film is here to stay. And our college is actually glad to partner with the university system and the Georgia Film Academy to make sure we're producing a workforce that's related to that. So here's where I am. This is the challenge. So thinking back to that 100% number I put up at the beginning of the presentation, I think it's important that we look at whether we're an employer, whether we're a nonprofit, a governmental agency, what is our role, a college, higher ed, K-12, what is our role in making sure that we get people employed in a way that is meaningful? And it's good to see that beside DeKalb and some other entities are facilitating this conversation. I think it would be a good challenge for us to find a way to bring all that together so we're not working in a silo, so that all these things are functioning together as a system. I think that's very important. I think that, again, our big goal, the thing that drives me, is to get every single able-bodied DeKalb citizen a meaningful employment, so that they can connect with their companies that they're serving. They can connect with their clients and customer base. I think it's also important that we rise to the challenge of aligning our pipeline. So that starts with our educational partners and our K-12, moving all the way through higher education. And even after that to continuing education, it's important that we align those resources, making sure we're pulling in the same direction, making sure that when a student leaves K-12, whether they stop for a period and get with their diploma, or if they go on and get a short-term training certificate or 2-year or 4-year degree, we need to make sure that we are aligned to make sure that those students, those graduates have the skills that are necessary to be employed and to make our business and industries strong. And I think it's also important to bring in all of those other governmental agencies and municipalities and our NGOs and our nonprofits together to make sure that we're all pulling together. And what I've seen this work so well in DeKalb County. I'm very proud to be a part of this community. But again, I think the most important thing is about connecting our who to their what. And what I mean by that is connecting our talent with the thing that they are designed to do, their what. So those are some of the thoughts that I've had. I encourage you to connect with me. You can feel free. Here's my contact information. If you want to find out more about the college, you can take your phone out and you can scan that QR code and you can hear more about us or learn more about us. And at this time, that is all I have. And I don't know if I have time for questions, but I'm done. Thank y'all so much for listening, for your time. I look forward to interacting with you further.
Thank you, Dr. Holston, for that great keynote address. The passion that you brought in that keynote address, I think everyone in the audience can feel that. And especially the additional information that you brought about. And one thing that I really enjoyed hearing, and I've been hearing it throughout the panel discussion this morning, is collaboration and how important that is in DeKalb County. So I'm sure everyone in attendance was able to capture some key points from your presentation as well. Georgia Piedmont Technical College is an important partner in DeKalb County, and we thank you, Dr. Holston, for continuing, as well as Dr. Clark, for continuing to partner with the Chamber and DeKalb County on our mission of making DeKalb County the most desirable place to invest and conduct business in Georgia. We also want to thank our speakers and panelists that have taken time out of their schedules to join us today, as well as our moderators who've taken some time out of their day to formulate some points so that we can have some great dialogue during our panel discussions. So we invite you, our audience here this morning, we invite you to join us on Thursday, February 24th, for our next event. Now, this is an in-person business after hours. Yes, an in-person business after hours at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Mission Center. You're going to enjoy this. You're going to enjoy this after hours, but you're also going to enjoy this visit. This is a unique facility that allows you to tour an on-site model of the new Arthur Blank Hospital scheduled to open in 2025, which is one of the exciting developments that was discussed in the healthcare breakout session. And you can find more information and register for the event on our website at www.decabchamber.org. Thanks to all of you for attending this morning in today's event and supporting the Chamber and our community. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.